Hello and a very good morning to you. Happy Monday. Let's start off the week strong, shall we? On today's show, top of the news this hour, we're going to discuss how the conflict between Iran and the US over the weekend has slowed down. Is this a temporary pause or will they finally agree to peace? Coming up in the global press review on the papers and the e-papers, Britain pledges to take a leading role in tackling climate change as devastating wildfires grip parts of France. We'll also look at the race to develop next-generation military technology, with defence giants investing heavily in AI startups. And Pakistan faces a worsening monsoon disaster, with the death toll continuing to rise. All of that is on the way. And still to come in today's Spotlight interview, we meet Aradhiya, a transgender social worker and student from Pakistan. She shares the challenges of living as a transgender woman, the resilience that has helped her overcome them, and why finding community has been life-changing. Right, it's time now for our global press review, where we're going to take a look at the major headlines making news around the world on the front pages of the papers and the e-papers. Let's begin. Okay, starting in the UK, the headline today, Miliband vows to give UK global leadership role on climate crisis. So in Europe, Britain's Foreign Secretary Ed Miliband has pledged to place climate action at the centre of the UK's international agenda. The report says London wants to strengthen its influence through global institutions while expanding support for developing nations facing the impact of climate change. The front page, it's dominated there by a different story, and when it comes to the story that they're telling through the images, it's the massive wildfires near Bordeaux in France, where hundreds of thousands of people have been affected. Let's go to Australia next. The headline, Marles disarms Labour rift. So Australia's Defence Minister Richard Marles has sought to ease political tensions over the government's position on the Israel-Hamas conflict. According to the paper, Labour has reaffirmed that Hamas must disarm and cannot have a role in any future Palestinian state. The Financial Times now. Biggest defence companies home in on startups for nimbler military tech. So global security and industry is what the Financial Times report is leading with. The world's largest defence manufacturers are investing heavily in technology startups to accelerate innovation in modern warfares. The trend reflects growing demand for autonomous systems, artificial intelligence and advanced defence capabilities. The report notes that recent geopolitical tensions, including the confrontation between the United States and Iran, has reinforced the importance of rapidly developing next-generation military technologies and making defence innovation one of the fastest growing investment sectors. To the China Daily next, Sri Lanka sees opportunities with China growth. So the paper is highlighting the expanding partnership between China and Sri Lanka, saying that cooperation is now extending well beyond infrastructure into agriculture, healthcare, education and technology. Let's go to India next. Opposition to intensify pressure as Parliament resumes. So political turbulence is also making the headlines in India's papers. India's Parliament has resumed amid new political confrontation. The paper says that the opposition is preparing fresh attacks on the government following controversy surrounding Senior Minister Dharmendra Pradhan, while questions are also being raised over police action during these recent demonstrations. We can see images on the front page of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Home Minister Amit Shah and opposition leader Rahul Gandhi. And this kind of reflects, I guess, the continuing political polarization and conflict as both the government and the opposition prepare for another intense parliamentary session. Bangladesh now. One breakdown exposes decades of energy mismanagement. So energy security and economic management remain central concerns across South Asia, and Bangladesh is facing a nationwide gas crisis after a fire at a floating LNG terminal disrupted supplies right across the country. The newspaper reports that households are struggling to cook in certain areas, industries are cutting production, and long queues have formed at CNG stations. So the front page photograph, it's a family cooking over a sort of traditional brick stove, illustrating the real human impact of the energy shortages and reminding us how infrastructure failures can very quickly affect everyday life and the economy, of course. Right, lastly, Pakistan. Nationwide deaths this monsoon cross 100. More rain likely in country's upper parts from the 29th of July. So Pakistan continues to battle intense monsoon season with the nationwide death toll now exceeding 100 people. That's according to disaster management authorities. Most fatalities have resulted from houses collapsing, flash floods, and people drowning. The front page image shows the rising water levels there beneath one of the major bridges in northern Pakistan, reflecting the scale of the flooding. And officials have warned that another spell of heavy rain is expected later this week, particularly in the country's northern and upper regions, urging people to remain cautious and follow the official safety advice from authorities. Okay, right, let's take a tour of today's weather across the world's major capitals. Okay, let's start in Islamabad. It's going to experience another very warm summer's day under some hazy sunshine. Temperatures are going to rise quickly throughout the afternoon, and skies will remain mostly dry today. The heat's going to be quite intense. Maximum temperatures are forecast to reach 36 degrees, with minimum temperatures dropping down just about 10 degrees down to 27. So a toasty day in Islamabad. Moving to Beijing, warm and humid conditions continue with a mix of sunshine and cloud. There's a possibility of an isolated afternoon shower, and thunderstorms might move in as they head into the afternoon. Maximum temperatures will top out at 33 degrees and drop down to a low of 25 in China. Now in Riyadh, another very intense day of summer heat is expected. Clear skies and bright sunshine are going to dominate throughout the whole day. Maximum temperatures 45 or 46 degrees, so it's really heating up and staying hot at the moment. Minimum temperatures will drop down, providing a little bit of ease down to 31 degrees. So there is some advice, as always, in this part of the world. Anyone doing any outdoor activity should avoid being outdoor for too long to avoid heat exhaustion, and drink plenty of water. Now, across to Istanbul, weather conditions, they remain pretty pleasant. Sunny intervals and light winds will be, it's going to make way for another comfortable summer's day. Maximum temperatures of 31 degrees, we've just got that the wrong way around, and minimum temperatures of 22, making it a pretty nice day for some outdoor activities. Maybe a dip in that sea there. How nice does that look? Lovely and blue. Okay, turning to London, expect a pleasant summer's day with a blend of sunshine and scattered clouds. Dry weather is expected across most parts of the city. Maximum temperatures are going to reach 25 degrees, while minimum temperatures will be 16 degrees Celsius. So a comfortable summer's day expected to run through the whole day and into the evening in the British capital. In Washington, D.C., hot and humid weather conditions continue. Cloud cover will increase throughout the day, bringing the possibility of some scattered thunderstorms later in the day. Maximum temperatures will reach 33 degrees Celsius and minimum temperatures will reach 24 degrees. So residents should remain alert for some perhaps changing conditions throughout the day, maybe on your commute to work. Meanwhile, in New Delhi, they remain firmly under the influence of monsoon season. Cloudy skies with periods of rain and thunderstorms are expected throughout the whole day. Maximum temperatures, again, team have got it slightly wrong. Maximum temperatures of 31, minimum temperatures of 27. Heavy rainfall, it might lead to some sort of waterlogged parts in any low-lying areas, and maybe some slower traffic movement. Okay, heading to Moscow now, where the conditions will remain comfortable with a mix of sunshine and passing clouds. Most of the day is expected to stay dry, though a brief shower can't be ruled out. Maximum temperatures 24 degrees, while the minimum will drop down to 15. So pretty mild weather in Moscow. Nice for a walk around the city. And finally, we go to Paris. Another warm summer's day with sunny spells, few passing clouds. Dry conditions are expected right across the French capital for the whole day. Maximum temperatures nearly 30 degrees, minimum temperatures dropping down to 18, and overall excellent weather is expected. So nice for some outdoor activities, maybe a croissant by the Seine. Now, in today's Spotlight interview, what is it like being transgender in Pakistan? Let's talk about it. So today we're going to meet Aradhiya, a transgender social worker and student from Pakistan who's sharing her powerful story of resilience. She'll talk about what it's really like being transgender in Pakistan, the challenges that she's faced, how she's overcome them, and why having a really strong, supportive community around her can make all the difference. Aradhiya, welcome to Morning Asia, and thank you so much for coming into the studios. You've got a really important story to tell, and that's why I wanted to sit down and have a chat with you. A transgender rights activist here in Pakistan and a digital content creator. I didn't think I would ever get the pleasure of speaking, to someone about their journey of being trans in Pakistan. Take me back to sort of the beginning when things felt different and you knew you wanted to change something.
I think it started out when I was very young. I think I always felt the feminine urge inside of me. Mm-hmm. I used to dress up differently. I used to be mocked a lot because of my feminine behavior. Mm-hmm. And in my school life, I was very discriminated. In my childhood, I was quite abused because of being different than the things society considered very normal here. And I didn't have much support from my parents, my friends, and it was a very rough journey. Yeah. And I think coming to my community, meeting people from the community, meeting people who are allies supported me a lot. But it was not easy if I didn't had the privilege to be in the community. Like I had a guru who's Aradhiya. She's a very prominent activist. She guided me a lot. You need to have some sort of a community support, because in Pakistan, parents would know how to raise a girl, how to raise a boy. Yeah. But when we talk about even a trans person, a male and a female trans person, they would know. They would know how to raise a child with special needs. And I think it's very cultural, and also it's very focused. And I also think at times that we talk about this, that there should be a family planning curriculum for this as well, that we need to focus.
Yeah, because it's a huge thing for you to accept and understand. Yeah. And then another thing is also for the people around you to accept and understand. And arguably, I guess sometimes you've had more time to think about it. Your family and the people around you, they may have never met any allies or never met any of the community to understand perhaps what you were going through. Religion plays such a big role in Pakistan as well. It's so present in everyone's everyday lives. How did you navigate that? Was there a sense of, a clash between what you'd been brought up to think and then the thoughts that you had sort of developed independently?
I think when we talk about identity, it's something I always believed at. It's something I always thought of myself. And I think it's also a tricky road when you're identifying yourself and you have discrimination, you don't have any parent support, especially living in Pakistan. And also there's a social acceptance as well, which you also have to go through yourself in a journey.
Yeah, and probably every day, right?
Because transition is a journey which never stops. Yeah. It's just a beautiful journey. And when we talk about religion, I think for me, for my religion, it has always taught me because it's one of the best religions in the world. It's peace, it's talk about humanity, it's taught about welfare. I think when I started my social work, I always thought of helping others in need rather than me, and that also has helped me a lot in my journey, looking up to people.
What's your relationship like with your family now?
I do live alone. I left my home. There was an on and off situation. I won't call it toxic or abusive, but there were some things that made me moved out. And for your mental peace, at times you need to pick best. I am connected to my brother. I am connected to my mom. I do meet them often. But I think at times they were also under the pressure of society, that log kya kahenge, what will people say?
Yeah.
They were supportive when I started working, when I started studying on my own. I'm recently going to be graduated in bachelor's in journalism, basically. And they are proud of it, but they don't cherish it publicly.
Yeah. And in many ways, you are sort of forging a new path for people that might, you're making way for people, making it easier for other people to be able to choose this, to make choices for themselves. And that's not difficult. That's not easy when you're doing it for the first time in some areas. You mentioned that you've got a mentor there that helps you. How did that connection come about, and how has having someone kind of show you the way to lead, a happy life here? How has that kind of guided you?
I think the earlier thing you were mentioning about life and everything, I wanted to talk about that most of the time when you're navigating things in your life, being a trans person was never easy in Pakistan. Even if you're studying, you're a student, you're working, going for interviews, you've always been challenged because of your gender identity. If you're walking into a hospital for basic medical needs, you've never been given access at times. Even at one point, I was in a hospital where nurses were making choices who would go and cater me. I did my college from a boys' government college, because still in Pakistan, in the education system, the enrollment form, which usually colleges and matriculations have, they don't have the column for third gender, transgender, others.
Is that still the case today?
That's still the case today. Although Sindh is working on its transgender education policy, which has not been finalized yet. That was traumatizing for me, going to a boys' college and going through a lot of traumas, physically being checked by a male warden. So when we talk about education in trans community, these are some of the challenges which people do not continue their education because of the discrimination, the harassment from the teacher.
Just too difficult.
Making fun in the classrooms. People might find it normal. For a person, it is not normal. It's not okay for anyone else.
No, it's a lot to take on.
I worked in some of the best corporates in Pakistan, and still a lot of times people used to judge because I was a trans person, that why I was given this opportunity, why I'm going there, what am I doing? And at times people have just made up their mind that the stigmatization with the gender is so real that even if you have worked so hard in your life to achieve something, to make a change in the society, at one point they still pin it with the mindset they have made. For example, I am recently looking for a rental situation in Karachi, housings and everything. And apart giving my documentation for my university, documentation for my job letter, they still discriminate me and say that you guys are always involved in some other activities and you should not be allowed living single.
So is there, what's the assumption there? What are these other activities?
So when we talk about trans people in Pakistan, the three means of a source of income is basically sex work, is basically begging on the streets, beggary, and is also dancing in family birthdays and functions. Okay. Which is not a choice by the community. If there was opportunities, they were giving resources.
So many transgender people in Pakistan fall into those three lines of work because they don't have access to other work, they get discriminated in other work. Is that what you're saying?
It's not just in Pakistan, it's across borders as well. A lot of countries, still trans people are forced into this. I don't think these occupations or means of needs are never by choice.
So how did you get to where you are today then? Considering that that is the fate that many transgender people face, you're a rights activist, you have a presence online. How did you get to the point now where you're not having to work, I assume, not having to work in those three industries? Is that fair to say?
I think I had support from my guru, which always motivated me to continue my education. She also supported me. My brother, he was also a journalist. He is a journalist. He supported me throughout that. And always my family point out long ago one thing, that if I transition here in Pakistan, I would fall under all of this. I respect the community, and I think these are the source of income, because regardless of everything people have to do, what can they else do for their bread and butter? Because I did my college and then I wanted to change something. I was 16 and 15 and I was like, one thing that Tanya made me step in the field, which I call, that when I started working, I realized there was no youth voice from a trans community. We have amazing, incredible senior activists.
They were older, okay.
But the youth, basically in Pakistan, which holds also a huge number, there's no specific representation at that time, and I'm talking about 2017, that a requirement for, what's a basic need for a trans youth? It's healthcare, it's hormone replacement therapy, it's access to basic mental health. I think it's for all. It's education, getting your education. I think even you were talking about creating pathways. We are in collaboration with different people who are providing jobs, skill set, but still, whenever I get a DM from a young trans girl or a boy who are asking me guidance, I say them that education can make a lot of changes.
Yeah.
When you have a degree, when you have a certain skill set, you can achieve and earn a lot in your life. That is a lot important.
Yeah. I guess that's true of anyone. You know, if you have education behind you, it does open certain doors, but perhaps what you're saying is that those doors are even more difficult to get through, but can make meaningful change in your life, so you don't have to fall into those three categories of work that you mentioned before.
Because recently there's been a lot of hate campaigns and movements for the trans people in Pakistan, and which we're talking about falling into those places. Trans people have never been given opportunity to have an education. I don't know any university apart my university, which is Greenwich, that openly welcomes trans persons in Karachi. I don't know any corporate or any government department that's saying that trans people can be hired here. There's no opportunity created. And it's really sad to see that a lot of time people can talk about the drawbacks, the faults of the community, but what are we doing as a society?
So through your work, through activism, how are you trying to change those things? Are you trying to change those things?
I think when we talk about change, I think one thing I always believe, the change comes from yourself. I continued my education. I am going to be graduating. And that's also a representation, going to a public university and public and private university, basically, and studying. Because a lot of people think trans people do not study, they have a low literacy level, but they don't know why it is. When we talk about change, I think I'm currently working in Gender Interactive Alliance. It's a technical community agency which works on narrative change, art, storytelling. We recently did a theater by Rang Ras. The top trans actors and activists were part of it. When we talk about basic struggles of trans community, I work there as a communication manager. We work on different areas. When we talk about care, when we talk about education skill set, when we talk about creating digital products like podcasts, shows, where we're also producing funny content or sensible content, but they're also giving out the message for acceptance, for care, for vulnerability of a trans person. And it's not just trans person, there's also women, there's also other minorities.
You live a very open and public life with the path of the line of work, the studying, all of those choices. Do you feel safe in Pakistan as a transgender woman?
I do feel safe in Pakistan, but I don't see a future in Pakistan. Speaking for a fact, I do still work in a community-based organization. If you talk about opportunities, even if I am getting my bachelor's, I recently published my 2 articles, and as a graduate journalist, I saw the struggle of people not even communicating me for taking my piece. And long ago, a lot of corporates did give an opportunity to trans people in their offices, some big names in Pakistan, but that was just to fill up their D&I goals and having that
Did you feel like a quota, like a kind of
tokenism.
Yeah.
Tokenizing trans people, but I don't see anything being worked on a government level. We can see in different provinces, like Punjab, they're doing something. Balochistan had its transgender policy. KPK has its recently trans police officers. Sindh is a bit left behind compared to a lot. It can be there can be done a lot, but I think there's another need to be focused on.
Yeah.
But still coming again to the work, there can be a lot done, but it's not just an individual who can do.
You mentioned that you feel safe here, but you don't necessarily see a future here. I've lived in, in places around the world, in the United Kingdom, spent some time in Canada where the LGBTQ plus community is accepted and celebrated. Do you feel like Pakistan will ever get to that level of acceptance?
I think it's a very long journey. For trans people, it started, but it's sort of fading away because of a lot of hate, a lot of discrimination, a lot of misinformation, a lot of myths that is occurring. And I personally want to move out, not because of this. I want to pursue my master's. I want to have a life where I don't want to be fear that I'm living alone in my home. Someone just walked in and killed me. Or
It's interesting because I asked you if you said you felt safe and you said yes, but that would tell me otherwise.
safe in a situation, like considering living here, yes, but long term, I don't see it because of the current situation developing. We have recently seen a lot of harassment, murder cases arising in Pakistan in different provinces. And since the hate is starting again, the campaign, the motives, the negative narratives, it can be challenging for people who are very public about how they feel, how they present their work. Because when the people are targeted online on the digital hate, it's the people who are very outspoken about it.
Yeah. Well, I want to congratulate you on all the work that you're doing and the strength that you've had and have to continue doing what you're doing. And thank you also so much for sharing your story with us. I know it's not easy and that it can feel quite exposing, especially when you're talking about the risks involved. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
There we go. That was Aradhiya there who popped by the studios. Time now for a morning coffee, matcha, tea, whatever you're up for. Thank you for watching Morning Asia. Tomorrow is actually quite an exciting day for everyone here on Asia One, as it's our 1-year anniversary. So we've got a great show lined up as we look back on 365 days. So tune in because it's going to be good. I'll see you then. Goodbye.